Good morning, Year 8. It's Mr. Davidson, and now that we've moved to Teams, I'm going to explain every week the work that I'd like you guys to do. So hopefully at this point you've all had a look at the document that I sent, which has got all the instructions for this week. But if any of that's confusing, you might want to listen to this little video, and hopefully it will explain to you in a bit more detail, or at least clarify some of the questions that you might have. So I'm going to read through this and you can follow along with me, and then if you have any questions you can send them to me in an email, or even better, you can post them in the class notebook on Teams so that everybody else can see them, and hopefully you can help answer somebody else's question. So for the next month, all of you in Year 8 are going to be taking on the role of expert travel guides. Some of you might have seen a Lonely Planet book before, some of you might not, but a Lonely Planet travel book is a guide for any traveller who wants to go to a country or a city, and it tells them all of the essential tips and history and key ideas and information about that place. So last month you either looked at the African Sahel or the Arctic Circle, and we're going to stick with these places as our extreme environments. Now you don't have to choose the same place, but you can if you would like to do somewhere that's already familiar to you, if you think that might be a little bit easier. So let's have a look at the work, shall we? So this week, I want you to pick either the African Sahel or the Arctic Circle, and this place is going to be the place that you're studying for the next month. So make sure you choose the same place each week. And this week, we're going to start creating some basic background information for our chosen place. So you need to choose the African Sahel or the Arctic Circle. Once you've picked that, I want you to find the countries that are in that place, and you'll see that I've given you a list of some of them in the table on the next bit of the work. So I want you to pick one of those countries, and over the next month you're going to only research that country, and you're going to become a travel expert for whichever place you've chosen. So your first task this week is to pick one of the countries in this table. Once you've done that, you're going to start creating either a Word document that you're going to add to every week, or a PowerPoint presentation that you're going to add to every single week. And what I'd like you to do this week is create some basic background research. So looking at task 2 on this document, I want you to first of all find out some basic facts about your country. So you might want to find out how many people live there, what are the capital cities or capital city or other major cities, whereabouts in the world is it, what countries are next door, what oceans are next door, what continent is it on. And you might want to use some of these resources here. So what I've done is I've already opened up Simple Wikipedia, and if you go to this Simple Wikipedia, you can then type in your country. So I'm going to type in Finland, and I'm going to click on search, and then I've got loads of information here, so I could have a look at the nature, I could have a look at the history, and I could start getting some key information. You might also want to use Google Maps or a Google search to find out some bits and pieces about your country. After you've done that, after you've found your basic facts, you're then going to look at the history of your country. So this is the other thing that everybody has to do this week. So you might want to find out how old the country is, when was it first discovered, when was it founded, is it famous or was it famous for anything throughout its history, did it have kings or queens, or was it run by tribes, or did nobody live there at all in some parts of the Arctic Circle. So again, for that you might want to use some of these resources, and I've already opened one up. So I've gone to the Wikipedia History by Country page, which is one of the links on there. I can see here under F, because it's alphabetically listed, History of Finland. So I'm going to click on that. And okay, so I can see I've got more links here, and this shouldn't be too overwhelming. So don't look at this and go, I have no idea what I'm doing. Just take a moment, slow down, and look through it. So I'm having a look at subcategories, 20th century in Finland, establishments in Finland. Okay, well maybe this first link here might be quite useful. Okay, so there are even more links here. So I can go 20th century establishments in Finland. Oh my god, there's loads in here. So I can keep clicking through and I can have a look at some of these. But if this seems really odd, and you might do the same thing as I do and go, oh, I've clicked on some links and I'm not really sure what I'm doing here, I can go back up to the search box at the top right of the page, or if you're on your mobile, there'll be a little button at the top with 3 lines on it. You can click in there and you can search for the place that you're looking at. So I'm going to go back to Finland, and this takes me back to the page I was already on. So I'm back somewhere that I'm comfortable with and I know, and I can then start exploring links again. So if you start clicking through on random links like I'm doing now, and you end up getting somewhere that you're not quite sure where you're meant to be, go back to the search bar, type in your country, and then you can start again. So don't ever worry if you've gotten lost and you're not sure what you've done. Go back to the country page and you can go from there. So that was your second task, to create some history of your country. And this is either going to go into a PowerPoint presentation. So here I've given you 2 example slides that aren't very good, but you might want to use them as a basis. Or you could start creating a Word document, which has got your project in. So you'll have a title, you'll have subheadings, and you'll be able to talk about all of your individual bits and pieces. Now, I would suggest that each of these things, so in task A, the basic facts, I would suggest this is one section or a number of slides. So you might have a slide for population, you might have a slide for cities, a slide for location, and I would suggest this, the history, is another section. So you might want to have a couple of slides on this, or you might want to have a couple of paragraphs with their own different titles in your Word document. And finally, if you're up for a challenge this week, then you can have a look at task 3. I would like you to start thinking about when your country has been in the news. And I would like you to title this section, "You might have heard about X because." So here you can use some search engines, you could use Google, you could go to the BBC website, and you could try and find out why your country has been in the news and why people might have heard about it. So, this has been quite a long explanation, but you can go back and you can listen to any part of this whenever you want, and hopefully it will explain things for you in a bit more depth. Remember, if you have any questions at all, your first port of call should be the class notebook on Teams. And you can go to that through your Teams app or on your computer, and you can post there something that everybody else can see, and hopefully we can answer your questions. If that doesn't work, then you can send me, Miss Dunham, or Mr. Ranson an email, and we'll be happy to help you with whatever you need help with. So hopefully that's helped you, and I look forward to seeing all your work next week.